the close of our service. So once again, I want to welcome everyone who is here with us, both in person here in the sanctuary, as well as joining us on Zoom. For folks who are wondering, here in the sanctuary, we've got, I'd say, roughly around 45 right now, I think. We're around that, 40 maybe, something like that. And on Zoom, we've got 121 screens. So that's where we all are. Really glad you're all here. So friends, we face a new year together, 5782. I won't start off here necessarily by wishing you a happy new year, because I know some of us may not be happy right now, may not be happy. We may not be happy that we can't all be in the sanctuary together today, or that there were restrictions on attendance in the sanctuary. We may not be happy that we can't be here with our children inside the sanctuary or hearing the choir lead us. We may not be happy for those who are present that we have to stay masked during services, and we very much appreciate people who are here following along our protocols of staying masked nose and mouth. We appreciate that. We may not be happy that the resurgent COVID numbers have also erased other gains that we made over the summer, really precious gains. We changed our social plans, our vacations, our commitments to reunite with loved ones, our employment, or even our livelihoods, changed by the resurgence of COVID. So there's a lot out there that we could be grouchy about. And so it is understandable that it is the case that, I don't know about you, but I certainly see a lot of grouchy folks out there right now. And if you are finding yourself in the Grouch Club these days, I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. I've even found myself grouchy sometimes, and I do spiritual work every day to watch for negativity. But I still find myself there sometimes because it's just a grouchy time. And if that is on your mind, I want to flag for you here that on Yom Kippur, I am actually going to talk about anger. And so we will go there. Stay tuned for that. Today, though, we will not go there. Today and tomorrow, I'm going to offer some spiritual tools that are meant to help us enter Rosh Hashanah and the new year and still have a good and meaningful experience, even if we may be grouchy. I'll offer one tool today and another tool tomorrow. And then on Yom Kippur, we will dig in to anger, rage, and potentially even resentment. But not today. Not today. And why? Why wouldn't I just go there? Because as I shared last night, the holidays are a journey, and we're not there yet. Recently, I asked some members of our congregation what they needed to hear from me right now. And the answer that I got back was good news. Good news, positivity, and uplift. Now, those who know me well know that I don't believe in hiding us from the world outside, nor will I pretend that something is good news when it is not. And there is some good news out there that we could be focusing on, but undoubtedly there's a lot of difficulty out there too. These are not easy, smooth times for our people or for the world. But what I can share with you today, authentically and with integrity, is that I do still see cause for hope. And today, we're going to focus on finding hope. And we don't have to look very far to stumble across it. Really, if you think about it, hope and faith are woven through our most ancient and foundational sacred Jewish texts. The Torah that we traditionally read in services every week describes the birth of a people and a nation, Israel, to become an Am Kadosh, a holy people, a light unto the nations, against some really impossible odds. even with rampant kvetching that they did and plagues that befell them, the golden calf that they made, and even outright mutiny against Moses, amazingly, the Israelites still made it to the land of Israel at the end of the Torah. It's amazing if you think about it. If they could make it through all that they went through, their 40 years of wandering, we for sure can handle what's in front of us today. And friends, that's just our 5 books, the first 5 books. If you keep reading after that, you'll find very many wonderful passages of consolation that we see in the books of prophets, offering hope. There is the victory song that we just read in the Haftarah today, which comes out of the book of 1 Kings. Tomorrow's Haftarah is out of the book of Jeremiah. And the 7 passages that we just read in the last 7 weeks leading up to Rosh Hashanah, many of which come out of the book of Isaiah. And those times were very troubled times. Scholars assert that Isaiah was written after the destruction of the first temple and the exile of many Israelites to Babylonia, which was, to put it lightly, disruptive and traumatic. And it took them decades before they were allowed back into their temple. Far, far worse than what we've lived these last couple years with COVID, for sure. But these prophets still held faith and hope for Israel's restoration and return, and they carried those messages to the people many times over. The Psalms also hold many declarations of faith and hope that make up a significant part of our traditional Jewish prayer book, including our High Holiday prayer book. And we sing them here every Friday. So we see, even amidst deep trauma and loss, our most ancient foundational texts in Judaism are, at their heart, hopeful. Hope and faith are tightly wound through our spiritual DNA as Jews, who we are from earliest times on. So what can we learn from these words? If we could talk to our ancient ancestors and ask them for their wisdom for our times, what would they say? I absolutely think that they would help us find hope. For example, Moses would encourage us to stay the course, the same way that he did for the Israelites throughout 40 years of wandering. And he'd tell them to do that even when it was hard. He'd tell us not to get hung up, clinging to the past. And he'd tell us to keep heading for our promised land. The prophet Isaiah would encourage us to lean into our dreams of what the aftertimes could look like, and allow those hopes and those dreams to pull us forward into our future. The authors of the Psalms would hold the promise of a real, whole justice that sees everyone, especially the most marginalized and disadvantaged among us, namely the widow and the orphan and the poor and the stranger. Ecclesiastes would tell us to savor every minute we get with our loved ones, our parents, our grandchildren, our close friends, because once they are gone, they are gone. And even just a few moments of love and connection can carry us through tough times and help us find purpose and meaning in our lives. And I could keep going. There are many more. There are so many voices of hope, and you can check them out anytime. You can even find our sacred texts online if you don't have a print copy of the Bible at home. The website I like is called sepharia.org with an F. There is one text on hope that I will share now. It's from Psalm 27, our psalm of the high holiday season. The final lines of the psalm say the following: Chazek v'ametz libecha v'kaveh el Adonai. When we read it in services, I like to read that last line twice. And this is the English. Hope in the Lord and be strong. Let your heart take courage and hope in the Lord. Hope in the Lord and be strong. Let your heart take courage and hope in the Lord. Now, the rabbis of the Talmud, which was later than that psalm was written, but still very ancient times, they looked at that verse from Psalm 27 and they asked, why does it say hope in the Lord twice? And here's the answer that one of them gave. Rabbi Hama, son of Rabbi Hanina, said, a person who prayed and saw that their prayers were not answered, they should pray again. Why? Because it is written, hope in the Lord and be strong, and let your heart take courage and hope in the Lord. And that means, Rabbi Hama continued, one should turn to God with hope. And if necessary, one should turn to God again with hope. And I want to say, their times weren't easy either, a lot of persecution in their day, but they knew that they needed hope. They knew that hope was a spiritual tool given to them by their ancestors and by the Holy One to help them find their way. And really, when we think about it, there are definitely some things we can be hopeful about, any of us. And I think that's real and true right now, even when things otherwise may feel so disrupted or difficult or hard. For example, we are here right now at our beautiful Bima, which is just gorgeous. And you're able to see it on Zoom. You're able to see it in person. And we are honoring our new year together, despite COVID, because we found some amazing technology that connects us and also helps protect our children, our elders, and other vulnerable members. We have our lives to look forward to. When we know that just under 650,000 people have died from COVID in this country alone, we are still here. You may be aware that there is a group at Adat Rahim that meets every Tuesday morning online for what we call Meditation Minyan. We explore Jewish meditation and other spiritual practices. And if you can't join it live, there are always recordings on the website. For a couple of weeks, I invited that group to start populating a Padlet with some thoughts about what hope is for them. What they came up with is pretty wonderful and definitely worth checking out. If everyone who is online can slow down the chat for a moment, I'm going to post the link to our Hope Padlet into the chat right now. For those of you who are here with us in the sanctuary, I will put it both on our Facebook members page after the high holidays are over, after Rosh Hashanah is over, and I will also share it in an email. I'm going to put this here now. Yep, it's there in the chat. Okay. So those who are on Zoom, you can open it from the link, but please read it later after services. After Rosh Hashanah, I will post it for everybody else. And if you feel so inspired, you can add something to the Padlet about what hope means to you. I encourage you to spend some time with our Hope Padlet over these days of awe through Yom Kippur. Doing this, we will lift each other up, doing exactly what our ancestors did as they told and retold the ancient verses of our Hebrew Bible, cultivating hope and faith in our own lives and in our collective future. And now here is my blessing as we enter 5782. May this be a year of new hope for us as individuals and as a community. May we remember that every day we live is an opportunity for hope in our future. Even if things don't turn out quite the way we want or expect, may we still hold hope and faith that we're going to be okay. Shana Tova.